They often say, after the rain comes the rainbow. But some storms, they never end. They just shift from one hurricane to another, more brutal and colder than the last. Jack and Tuten, two people who spent their entire youth fighting the cruel schemes of Mrs. Tieu, that wicked ex-mother-in-law. In the last episode, we burst with joy seeing Mrs. Tieu in handcuffs justice finally served. We thought that from here on out, they would walk down the aisle together, living a happy life to make up for those years of suffering. But no, fate is the cruelest scriptwriter of all. The very moment they triumphed over human evil, Tuten collapsed before an invisible enemy, an enemy that no court can judge, no police can arrest. Leukemia. Their victory suddenly became meaningless. Jack, the man who just held his head high against his enemies, now bowed his head in helplessness before the cold white lab reports. In the days following the family storm, their small house sank into a terrifying silence. Tuten was no longer being harmed by anyone, but she was being betrayed by her own body. Every morning, Jack saw long strands of black hair scattered on her pillow. When she brushed her teeth, nosebleeds gushed out uncontrollably, turning the sink red. Unexplained bruises appeared on her porcelain skin, like blooming flowers of death. Tuten tried to hide it. She wore heavier makeup to cover her pale complexion. She smiled more to put Jack at ease, but Jack saw it all. He saw her hands trembling when she held her chopsticks. He saw the bone-deep pain that made her bite her lip until it bled in the middle of the night. He hurt. He hurt more than when Mrs. Tieu was attacking them, because this time he didn't know how to protect her, refusing to surrender. That is Jack's instinct. He turned the world upside down, looking for a way to save his wife. He sold his assets, contacted leading professors, and then a ray of hope flashed from faraway America, a world-leading hematology center with the newest experimental treatments. But going to America meant trading everything they had left: money, strength, and even Tuten's final piece. Tuten refused. "Honey, I'm tired. I want to stay home. I want to die in your arms right here in this house, not in some cold foreign land." Tuten cried as she said it, but Jack got down on his knees. For the first time in his life, this proud man knelt and begged his wife to live. He squeezed her hands tight, his eyes burning with determination. "As long as there is 1% hope, I will not let go. Go for me, okay? Don't leave me alone in this world." That plea shattered Tuten's resignation. She nodded. She went not because she believed in a miracle, but because she couldn't bear to extinguish the hope in the eyes of the man she loved. The day they left for the airport, the rain poured down. Was the sky crying a farewell for them? On that endless flight across half the globe, Tuten rested her head on Jack's shoulder, her breathing weak like a lamp flickering in the wind. Jack sat motionless for 14 straight hours, afraid to move, and wake her, afraid to cause her pain. He held her hand tight, feeling the chill from her gaunt fingers seeping into him. In his head, there was only one thought: "Please God, please Buddha, don't take her right here on this flight. Just let us get there. Give us one chance." America welcomed them with glitz and modernity. But for Jack and Tuten, America shrank down to just 4 white hospital walls and the pungent smell of antiseptic. They began a series of days in a living hell named testing. Tuten had dozens of vials of blood drawn. Needles piercing her spine to extract bone marrow caused pain that shot straight to her brain, making her body contort, sweat pouring down like water. But she didn't make a sound. She bit down hard on her handkerchief, staring blankly at the ceiling. She was afraid if she screamed, Jack, standing outside the door, would rush in and break down. Jack sat in the hallway, listening to every sound inside. He memorized complicated English medical terms, leukemia blast crisis chemotherapy. These strange words became a death sentence hanging over their heads. The days waiting for results felt like centuries. Jack clung to every frown, every headshake from the doctors. He hoped they would say, "There was a mistake," or "It's still early." But the truth is always cruel. The day the results came, the leading professor known as the man with the golden hands walked into the room with a grave face. He didn't look Jack in the eye. He looked at the file. "Mr. Jack, I am sorry." Those 3 words, "I am sorry," struck like a sledgehammer, shattering Jack's heart. The doctor explained clearly, coldly, and scientifically. The cancer cells have invaded the entire bone marrow. It metastasized faster than we predicted. End stage. Her body is too weak to receive a transplant. All doors of hope slammed shut right before their eyes. The money, the effort, the hope, all vanished into thin air. But the tragedy didn't stop there. The doctor offered one final opportunity. "We can try high-dose chemotherapy, combined with total body radiation. It could extend her life by 3 months, maybe 6, but that but was deadly. The price is that she will be in extreme pain. Her hair will fall out completely. Her skin will turn dark and ulcerate. Her immune system will collapse. She will have to live in a sterile room completely isolated from the world, vomiting pain piercing through to the marrow. Yes, 24/7. She will live, but in a vegetative state, surviving thanks to tubes and machines." Hearing this, Jack hurriedly nodded. "Do it. Do it, doctor. I'll pay whatever it costs as long as she's still breathing." For Jack Tuten's existence was everything. No matter what state she was in, he wanted her to stay in this world. But right then, a gaunt, ice-cold hand was placed on Jack's. Tuten, who had been silent as a shadow, suddenly spoke up. Her voice was small, but strangely firm. "No, I refuse treatment." The whole room was stunned. Jack turned to look at his wife as if he couldn't believe his ears. "What are you saying?" "Tien, are you crazy? This is our last chance." Tuten looked straight into Jack's eyes, her gaze crystal clear without a trace of fear. She smiled the most beautiful and heartbreaking smile Jack had ever seen. "Jack, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm only afraid of becoming ugly in your eyes." That sentence froze Jack in place. Tuten continued, tears starting to roll down her cheeks. "I don't want the last 3 months of my life to be a series of days paralyzed in a hospital bed, bald, vomiting blood, with you looking at me with pity mixed with horror. I don't want you to remember me as a withered corpse. I want to keep the image of the beautiful Tuten, the girl you loved. I want my final days to be spent walking, watching the sunset, eating meals you cooked not tangled in wires. Honey, please let me die with human dignity. Let me leave while I am still me. That is how I protect our love." Jack broke down sobbing. He hugged Tuten tight in that cold hospital room in America. He cried like a child stripped of his most precious toy. He understood now. He had been too selfish. He only wanted to keep her for himself, forgetting that she also needed respect, needed to truly live, not just exist. Letting go so the one you love can be happy, that is the highest realm of love. After 2 weeks in the US, they decided to return to Vietnam. No medical miracle happened. No magic pill. The luggage they brought back wasn't medicine, but a death sentence with a set date. But strangely, on the flight back, the atmosphere between them was much lighter than when they left. They were no longer racing. They accepted it. Jack held Tuten's hand, whispering, "Let's go home, honey. I will turn every day we have left into Valentine's Day." However, ladies and gentlemen, the story doesn't end there. Tuten decided to stop treatment to preserve her beauty for Jack. But she is hiding another secret from him, a secret contained in the diary she hastily wrote during those days in America. In that diary, she has made a plan for Jack after she's gone. Is she secretly looking for someone to replace her and take care of Jack? Or is she preparing one final shocking gift? And will Jack accept that arrangement? Will Tuten's final days be filled with tears or smiles? And when will the moment of eternal separation arrive? Before a light goes out, it flares up brilliantly one last time. In medicine, they call it terminal lucidity. But for those left behind like Jack, it is the cruelest moment of all, because it plants a false hope in their hearts, only to snuff it out immediately in excruciating pain. The days of fake peace in their small house were coming to an end. That night, storm number 10 was making landfall in the city. The wind howled outside the window like the wailing of heaven and earth. Inside, Tuten began to show strange signs. She no longer lay still as usual. Her breathing became heavy, wheezing like a rattle in her chest. Jack, dozing in the armchair next to the bed, was suddenly jolted awake by an ice-cold hand gripping his wrist tight. Jack panicked. "Tien, what's wrong? Where does it hurt?" Tuten opened her eyes wide. Her usually lethargic, tired eyes were suddenly shining with a strange intensity. But it wasn't the light of life. It was the light of panic. She stammered, pointing to her chest, her mouth opening to gasp for air, but unable to form words. Blood. A stream of fresh red blood gushed from the corner of her mouth, soaking the pure white pillow. "Tien, don't scare me! I'm calling an ambulance! I'm calling right now!" Jack screamed, his trembling hands reaching for the phone. But Tuten shook her head violently. She used her last bit of strength to snatch Jack's phone and throw it onto the bed. She lunged up, clutching his shirt shoulder, her fingernails digging deep into his flesh. With a voice that was hoarse, sounding like an echo from another world, she gasped, "The sea, Jack. I want to go to the sea." Jack stood frozen. Outside, the storm was roaring. Winds were gusting at level 12, and his wife, hovering between life and death, was asking to go to the sea. "No, you're too weak. The storm is huge out there. Wait until it stops tomorrow. I'll take you." "Okay. Be good. Lie down now." Jack begged through his tears, trying to help her lie back down, but Tuten refused. She struggled, tears mixing with blood on her delicate face. No, there is no tomorrow, honey. I know it. Take me there. I want to see the place where we started. One last time. Her eyes looked at Jack with pleading and absolute determination. It was the look of someone who knew clearly that their life clock was counting down the final seconds. If she didn't go now, she would never make it there again. Jack looked out the window where lightning tore through the night sky, then looked back at his tiny wife trembling in his arms. He understood. This was her dying wish. If he refused, she would leave in regret. If he agreed, she might die right on the road. Standing between two cruel choices, Jack gritted his teeth and made the craziest decision of his life. All right, I'll take you. Even if we die, I'll let you die in my arms facing the ocean. Jack frantically grabbed a thick duvet, wrapping Tuten tight in his embrace like a newborn baby. He lifted her up. Oh God, she was so light. So light he felt like he was carrying a handful of ashes, not a flesh and blood human being. The car tore out of the garage, plunging straight into the stormy night. The wipers worked at full capacity, but couldn't keep up with the waterfalls crashing onto the windshield. The wind buffeted the car, making it swerve. Trees on both sides of the road bowed down, as if trying to block their journey. But Jack didn't let off the gas. He drove on instinct, on desperation. One hand gripping the steering wheel, the other still clutching Tuten's ice-cold hand in the passenger seat. Hang in there, honey. We're almost there. Just 10 more kilometers. Jack kept talking to keep Tuten awake. Tuten lay there, eyes half open, watching Jack. Under the flashing streetlights, she saw her husband's profile, hardened veins popping out on his temples. She wanted to reach up and stroke his cheek, but her arm felt like lead. She couldn't lift it. In her mind right now, reels of memories were rewinding. She remembered the first day she met Jack on that beach. He was a poor student working a part-time job, and she was a girl selling flowers. She remembered their first kiss tasting of sea salt. She remembered his solemn vow. No matter what happens in the future, I will always find you here. Jack, Tuten whispered. I'm here. I'm listening. If I fall asleep, don't wake me up, okay? Her sentence felt like someone crushing Jack's heart. No, you can't sleep. You promised me you'd watch the ocean. Open your eyes. Tien, we're here. The screech of tires burning rubber pierced the air. They had arrived. Jack carried Tuten and rushed out of the car. The sea wind blew so hard, Jack had to plant his feet firmly just to keep from falling. The rain whipped his face, stinging cold. But strangely, as Jack carried Tuten down to the sand, the rain suddenly eased, leaving only the sound of the ocean waves roaring furiously. They sat down on a familiar rock, the place they used to sit and watch the sunrise. Jack pulled the blanket up to cover Tuten, leaving only her face exposed. Before them lay the pitch-black night sea, vast and terrifying. Waves crashed onto the shore, throwing up white foam. Tuten looked out at the sea, her eyes gradually becoming strangely peaceful. The pain on her face seemed to vanish. She smiled a smile of contentment. It's so beautiful, she whispered. Jack hugged her tight from behind his tears, mixing with the rain falling onto her hair. Yeah, it's beautiful. Tomorrow when the sun comes up, it'll be even more beautiful. You have to get better so we can watch the sunrise together, okay? Tuten shook her head slightly. She tried to move her hand hidden inside the blanket, pulling something out. It was a small old wooden box, locked with a combination lock. She placed it in Jack's hand. Jack, this is everything I have. Jack was surprised. What is this? Tuten let out a sharp breath, her breathing becoming ragged. Remember, the house money that you thought I lost. It's not lost. I used it to hire a detective, to find my roots. Jack was stunned. Roots Tuten was an orphan, wasn't she? In this box is a DNA test result and a keepsake from my biological father. People say he's very rich, very powerful, but I didn't dare claim him because I was afraid. Afraid he wouldn't accept this dying daughter. Tuten coughed violently, blood gushing out again. She squeezed Jack's hand, her voice urgent. The password is your birthday. Take it. Find him. He will help you. Pay off debts. Help you have a future. Consider it my final gift to you. Jack screamed, I don't need it. I don't need money. I don't need a rich father-in-law. I just need you. Tien, but Tuten couldn't hear him anymore. Her hand went limp. The wooden box dropped onto the sand. Her head lolled to the side, resting completely against Jack's chest. Her eyes slowly closed, taking with them the final image of the ocean and the man she loved most. Her breathing stopped. Her heart stopped beating. Amidst the roaring waves, Tuten breathed her last breath in Jack's arms. Jack sat there motionless as a stone. He wasn't crying anymore. The pain had exceeded the limit of endurance, numbing him completely. He held his wife's body, sitting in the middle of the storm, ignoring the rising tide, starting to lick at his feet. He just sat there, whispering the song Tuten liked best. A scene of absolute tragedy. But ladies and gentlemen, the story hasn't ended. Just as Jack was about to lift Tuten's body to take her home, a blinding light beam from the main road shone straight onto them. Not police lights, not ambulance lights. It was the headlights of a convoy of 5 sleek black cars, led by a luxurious Rolls-Royce Phantom. The convoy stopped right on the sand. Dozens of bodyguards in black suits and sunglasses stepped out holding umbrellas, forming 2 solemn rows. The door of the Rolls-Royce opened. An elderly man stepped out. He wore an expensive suit, leaning on a dragon-headed cane, his hair snow white, but his eyes sharp, full of power. He walked with a limp, but moved quickly toward Jack. Jack squinted, clutching Tuten's body defensively. Who are you people? The old man didn't answer. He approached, staring at Tuten's pale face. The hand holding the cane trembled violently. He collapsed onto the sand, ignoring the $1,000 suit getting muddied. He raised a wrinkled hand to touch Tuten's ice-cold face. My daughter, did Daddy arrive too late? The powerful man's cry rang out just as heartbreaking as Jack's. Then he raised his head, looking at Jack, with eyes burning with rage and grief. Are you Jack? Are you the one who made my daughter suffer all these years? Jack was stunned. You are? The man stood up, pointing his cane straight at Jack's face. I am the chairman of the Vongia group. I am her biological father. Why? Why didn't you contact me sooner? Why did you wait until she died to bring her out here? He turned to the bodyguards, shouting orders. Get the young miss to the car. Immediately. Call the helicopter. Get her to the cryogenic chamber now. There is still a chance. The best doctors in the world are waiting at the mansion. Cryogenic chamber. A chance. Jack was bewildered. The bodyguards rushed in, tearing Tutien's body from Jack's grasp. Let go! You can't take my wife! Jack screamed, trying to fight back. But he was completely exhausted after days of caring for her. A massive bodyguard restrained him effortlessly. Jack could only watch helplessly as they loaded Tutien's body into the luxury vehicle. The old man turned back to Jack one last time, casting him a look of contempt, yet filled with hidden meaning. If you want to see her again, take that box and come find me. But remember, from this moment on, the Tuten you knew is dead. The person who returns will be Vuong Tuten, my sole heiress. The car door slammed shut. The convoy sped off into the rainy night, leaving Jack alone on the desolate beach with the wooden box in his hand. What just happened? Is Tuten really dead? What is this cryogenic chamber technology he spoke of? Can it actually resurrect the dead? And Tuten, his poor suffering wife, is actually the daughter of a billionaire. From this moment, Jack's life turns a new page. A war not about food and money, but a war of high society, of resurrection, and of vengeance. My dear friends, what a shocking cliffhanger. Tuten stopped breathing in Jack's arms, only to be taken away by a mysterious wealthy force. Will she be saved by the cutting-edge medical technology of the super rich? And if she wakes up, will she remember Jack, the poor husband who walked through the storm with her? Or will she become a noble, estranged stranger? What secrets does the wooden box in Jack's hand hold about Tuten's origins and that billionaire father? What will Jack do? Accept losing his wife forever? Or venture into the lion's den to win back the love of his life? The story is only just beginning. Drama after drama. The next episode will be infiltrating the billionaire's mansion and the frozen room of resurrection. Comment Jack Don't Give Up right now to fuel his fire. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss Jack's journey to retrieve his wife from the realm of death. Goodbye, and see you next time